Hey folks, welcome back. This is part 3 in our series on insomnia and sleep disorders. Today we're going to talk to you a little bit about racing thoughts and what to do if that's your problem that's keeping you awake at night or waking you up in the middle of the night. This is actually one of the most common issues that I hear in therapy when we start to explore what's causing somebody to have sleep insomnia, that my mind is racing, I just can't get these thoughts to stop. So we're going to try to help you out with that today. Stay with me now. Welcome back. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please remember to smash that like button. We cover a lot of different topics here on A Little Bit of Everything with Sarge. This particular video is part of a multi-part series that we're talking about sleep disorders and insomnia. In the first video, we talk about circadian rhythms and caffeine and napping. In the second video, we talk a little bit about your sleep hygiene, which is basically like, what are your habits? It's a word that we use in the mental health field. It doesn't really mean hygiene. It means like, what are your habits before you get ready for bed? What is your routine? We talk about how the room should be set up to give you the best chance for a restful night's sleep. One thing that I didn't talk about in that video that I want to cover right now is, what is your wake up habits, right? What is your routine for that? So if you are one of those people that is fond of smashing that snooze button over and over and over again, we've got to retrain that habit, because unfortunately what you've done is you've trained your brain to ignore the alarm clock. That's not good. I know how wonderful the snooze button is. Right now, as I'm filming this, we're in the middle of our COVID-19 quarantine, and so everybody's habits have changed a little bit. I myself have gotten, unfortunately, back to the habit of smashing that snooze button because I had a little bit extra time in the morning since I was working from home. This is a bad thing. We've really got to unwind that and dial it back. So to do that, you may need to put the alarm clock on the other side of the room. You may need to change the tone, right? So this is just general. I recommend this for everybody anyways. Rather than have that really obnoxious tone noise that wakes everybody up, that switch to like a channel that you like. Get a radio one that does an alarm clock radio. Switch to a channel that you like, because you're never going to get used to that sound and train your brain to ignore it, because the song is different every single day, or at least in theory. It depends on the playlist of that radio station. So pick a station that you like. Every morning I wake up to a song that I enjoy, and my brain isn't accustomed to that same noise all the time. Okay. I should have added that in on the other one. We're just going to add it in now. Okay, so today in part 3, we're going to talk about the racing thoughts, right? So this is one of the most common things that I hear when I'm working with somebody on their sleep issues is, I go to bed, I try to lay down, I go through all the routine that you tell me, Sarge, I follow all the protocols, I cut back on my coffee, shut off the TV a half hour before bed, but I lay there and my mind is just racing. Or, yeah, I can get a couple hours of sleep, but then I wake up and my mind is racing and I feel wide awake, okay? There's typically 4 causes of this that come to mind. You've had some trauma, you've got a little bit of an anxiety issue going on, you've got a mood disorder, situational stress that's really kicking that up for you. So the protocols that I wanted to go back to, everything that I talked about in the previous video still applies here, right? So you want to try to be mindful of what's the normal average circadian rhythm for most neurotypical people. What is how much caffeine are you drinking? Are you napping during the day? Are you having the room as dark as you can get it? Are you using white noise to block out those little tiny noises? Do all of those things, because all of that still applies, but we're going to add a few more things into this now, right? So really important, let's emphasize how important it is that you start to do that relaxation routine 1 hour before bed if you have this issue with the racing thoughts. So I want you to think about what you've typically been doing, and we got to change this up. We got to do something different, because continuing to do the same thing over and over again is not going to get you where you want to be. We have to try new stuff. So shut off the TV, shut off the video games, turn off the social media, all of that stuff, that blue light stuff I talked about in video 2, which you want to go back and check out. And we're going to change this up to do something different 30 minutes before bedtime, right? So I want you to do something that's much more relaxing, do some pleasure reading, meditation, right? So I've got a video out there where we talk about meditation, and I've got an ASMR meditation out there, and we're going to add some more after we're done with this whole series, so just kind of keep an eye out for that's coming. I've got some videos out there on relaxation breathing, so if you don't do anything else, just go through that relaxation breathing. And this is when you're laying in bed after you've done everything else. So let's just kind of review that real quick. So the way that I teach relaxation breathing is what I call the 4-1-4-1 method. So you're going to breathe in through your nose to a count of 4, hold it at the top for a count of 1, a full 1, exhale through your mouth for a count of 4, and then hold it at the bottom for a full 1. So it's going to look like this. Right, and slow it down even more than that. I'm counting a little fast, so ready? Do that over and over again, right? So minimum of 5 cycles, but really do it as much as you can until you feel your heart rate slow down, you feel your blood pressure start to slow down. Check out that video that I've got about the relaxation breathing. I go into it more in depth in there. If you have this issue with the racing thoughts, I want you to at least give consideration to doing some thought journaling, right? So this is the one that everybody hates when their therapist says to them, all right, we're going to start a journal. I don't like to journal. Well, okay, can you give it a try for a month and see how it goes, see if it doesn't show you some improvement? The reason that thought journaling works so well for this racing thoughts issue is that we're taking those thoughts that are going up in our mind and perseverating and going over and over and over again, right? They're just going spinning around, and it's stimulating the brain. Boom, boom, boom. That's why you're not falling asleep. Well, we're taking that and we're putting it down on paper. And what that does is it actually tells your brain we're putting it on the shelf. We'll deal with this tomorrow, and now is the time for rest. Again, I know you're probably skeptical about this or you just hate journaling. I know a lot of people that do. I would recommend if this is the issue that's keeping you awake, then at least give it a try for 30 days. How about if your thoughts are, the racing thoughts are about some drama that's going on with your personal relationships at work, with your partner, your friends, people in your life. So if this is one of those things that's keeping you awake at night or waking you up in the middle of the night, interpersonal conflict or drama with others, and you've got something that you want to say, one thing that you could try is to, again, you could use the notepad that you're keeping next to your bed, because I recommend that we do that for the thought journaling and other stuff, or creative ideas, for jotting down creative ideas when you're really supposed to be sleeping. Write a letter to that person, say what you have to say. We're not mailing it off in the middle of the night, right? Because whenever you write something to a friend or a coworker or your partner or whatever, in the heat of that emotion, you're often going to say things that you can't take back. So write it out and then sit on it, put it away, right? That process of putting it on paper should calm down those thoughts and be able to get you back into a restful state. Write it out, and then the next morning reread it to yourself. Still hold on to it for another day, right? If you still feel after 24 hours or 48 hours that you still feel like that's what you want to say and you're willing to deal with the consequences, good and bad, of that statement, then you can mail it off. But especially at bedtime, if that's what's keeping you awake, is you've got a little bit of drama going on with somebody, you've got a little bit of interpersonal conflict, write it down, write your letter, put it away, allow your mind to go to rest. Okay, so what if your insomnia and your racing thoughts is being caused by all these things I got to do, right? Like you're getting ready to sell your house. That's a huge stress. It could be good, could be bad, but you're getting ready to do completed adoption paperwork. You're getting ready to get married, right? Like all these things, they can be good and bad kinds of stress. But there's a lot that starts to circulate a to-do list in your brain, and that can keep people awake. So I want you to, again, keep a little notepad next to your bed, and when those thoughts come to you, whether it be as you're laying down in bed or if you've had that first cycle of sleep and then you wake up and you're like, oh, I got all this stuff to do, just write it down. Make your to-do list, put it next to you on the bed. A lot of times what that will do is trigger the brain to say, okay, we're going to deal with that tomorrow. It's time to get back into rest state. Okay. So mood disorders issues, right? So I know some of you out there who are watching this might be struggling with bipolar disorder, and specifically the manic side of bipolar disorder can cause insomnia. It's a red flag that you are cycling up, and if you're in therapy or if you're taking medications, you probably need to, especially in the beginning of that, when you're learning how to get those skills under control for mood management, let your therapist know, let your psychiatrist or nurse practitioner know, hey, I'm getting some insomnia and I'm getting all this creative energy coming to me in the middle of the night, because that's a warning sign as you're starting to cycle up. The longer you get with managing that and understanding the early warning signs, you might not need to call your therapist or psychiatrist once you've learned how to deal with this. But in the beginning, that's a warning sign that's getting dysregulated. So you got all this creative energy, and this is probably one of those things that's going to be really, really difficult to treat, at least in the beginning, without some medication interventions. But again, go back to the notepad, right? So I'm getting all these creative ideas, these song lyrics, all this, I want to paint the room, I want to do this, I'm going to start this business today, right? So all this stuff starts to fly into your brain, and it's good stuff, right? People can get extremely creative when they're in a manic cycle. And I mean, you think about artists and musicians, and some of their best work comes about from that. So you don't want to lose that, right? Write it down. And this might even be like, if the thoughts are coming so fast that you can't even write them down, you might have to use an app to record it, like word of mouth, right? So again, sometimes you can channel some of that stuff that goes on and use it as a strength, but it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of practice. All right, so let's talk about, you've got a full sleep cycle. Maybe you slept 2 hours, right? Or 90 minutes, I guess, is what's considered neurotypical. You wake up and now you're like, I'm wide awake. Boom, I cannot go back to sleep. So what are we gonna do with that? Well, Sarge wants you to get 6 or 8 hours sleep if we can. So we're gonna try to go back to sleep. And what you have to do is, everything that I just told you still going to apply. So you write down those ideas, you go through your relaxation breathing, do a little bit of meditating if you can. And if you're a person of faith, you can do some prayers, and repetitive praying actually is a great way, or chanting and things like that in your head. You don't have to say it out loud, in your head actually, is a great way to try to relax the mind and get it to go back to a restful state. Okay, so let's say that you've done all these things, right? You wake up in the middle of the night, or you're laying there at bedtime and you cannot fall asleep. You've gone through all of the things that we've talked about in the previous video, and you've done everything that we talked about here, and you're still not falling asleep, right? That mental energy is just boom, wide awake. You've gone through your relaxation breathing. You've tried to do a little cognitive thought stopping, which I talk about in the panic videos. If you don't know what that is, you can go check it out there. But the short version, basically, cognitive thought stopping is you recognize that this thought is intruding in on you and it's not doing you any good right now. So you're gently pushing it away, telling yourself, okay, we're not going to worry about that. So you've done all that. You're still not falling asleep. Your mind is wide awake. Okay, so I got a couple more little things to try. I would say if you lay in there and it's been over an hour, you've tried all these routines, let's go ahead and get up. But instead of going right to like your Facebook or your Twitter account or YouTube, or turning on the TV or turning on your video games, try to grab something to read. And I don't mean like tablet, because there's that blue light that comes off of that. I mean like a book or a magazine. And lay in bed with dimly lit, as low as you can get those lights, and just kind of reading, again, that rapid eye movement back and forth across the pages. Maybe that will help to induce you back to sleep, right? You could try that. If that still doesn't work, another half hour goes by and you're laying awake and you got 3 more hours to go till morning, I would say you just go ahead and get up at that point. There's no sense laying in bed and tossing and turning for 3 hours and making yourself miserable. If you've got a mood disorder, you're actually going to make it a whole lot worse. So just go ahead and get up, start your day, make your breakfast, do your shower, and just start your day a little bit early. You'll probably get a lot done that morning. At night, try not to nap in the afternoon when you crash. Try not to nap. So that night, just go to bed a little bit earlier, and that should reset the circadian rhythms. All right, that's just about it for today. In the next video, in part 4, we're going to talk about some of the more common sleep disorders like sleep paralysis, sleepwalking, sleep talking, nightmares, and give you a little bit of my thoughts on that kind of stuff. So you're going to want to subscribe right now. Smash that subscribe button because you don't want to miss that. If this is helpful for you, please also hit that like button. What that does is it doesn't cost you anything. It gives me a huge boost to my self-esteem and says that you like these videos, you want me to keep making those videos. But more importantly, it gets it out to other people out there in YouTube who might be searching for videos on how to help themselves with their insomnia. I really appreciate you staying with me through all of this. It's been a fantastic journey. We got lots more to come. Until next time, this is a little bit of everything with Sarge.